Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday evening, and I hope and trust that your Tuesday was a good day, that your week is going well so far. And I just want to come to you tonight and give you some words of encouragement. And I want to do that by mentioning something that I saw this afternoon. I was in a Walmart parking lot, and I was making some phone calls, answering some text messages, that kind of thing, before you go into the store. You know how that is. And I saw an elderly couple come out of the store. I'm about halfway up one of the parking rows, and I saw an elderly couple come out of the store. And they were moving along fairly well. You could tell maybe they weren't as spry as they used to be. But as they're walking along, again, making progress, I guess the bag slipped out of the lady's hand, and so, here groceries go all over the parking lot, at least right there where they are, cans rolling and that type of thing. And what was interesting about that is not what happened to her, but what happened next. Not far from where they were walking was a mother with two sons. And I would say they were in the 9-10-year-old range. And it just seemed like split second, just like that, those two boys ran over. Now, keep in mind, we're in a social distancing environment right now. But just it seemed automatically that those two little boys ran over and started helping to pick up the cans and the groceries and put them back in the bag. Of course, mother's like, no, you have to keep your distance and all of that, which is understandable as well. But those two boys just automatically went over to help. And what strikes me about that is that indicates something about their training, that they're encouraged to help people. But for the elderly couple, they just were rather surprised at that, and you could tell by the looks on their faces that they were also very pleased and very happy. And the gentleman thanked the young boys and so forth, and then the mother took them on into the store. And what that made me think about is the fact that it's often the little deeds, just the small things that we do to help one another, to help other people, that can make such a tremendous difference. Jesus in Matthew 10 talked about someone giving a disciple a cup of cold water. I believe that references Matthew 10:42. You can double check that. Sometimes just the smallest of deeds to one another as brothers and sisters in Christ, for one another as brothers and sisters in Christ, to other people. Whether it's a one-time thing or maybe a series of actions over time. It's the little things that can make the difference, that might open doors of service or doors of opportunity to be able to teach. And when I think about that, I'm reminded of 1 Peter, where the theme through the whole book is you live a holy life, you conduct yourself properly in whatever area of life it is, and Peter mentions several areas of life. And he says this in 1 Peter 3:15, "But sanctify Christ in your hearts as Lord, and be ready to give a defense or an answer to everyone who asks you of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear." You see, if we're doing those little things and helping and serving, if we're doing the best to live a holy life, we're going to make mistakes, but we as Christians correct those mistakes. And we do those little deeds. At some point, somehow, some way, somebody is going to observe and say to us, you live differently, you think differently, you act differently. They'll make the observation about conduct, or they might even say, why do you behave like that? Why do you live like that? And ladies and gentlemen, that's an open door to be able to teach somebody, to be able to influence them for righteousness' sake, to be able to influence them with the gospel. So while we're tempted, I think it's partly because of human nature, to look for the big things that we can do, a lot of times it's the small deeds. or the cumulative effect of a series of small deeds that really, really make the difference. So if you're going through life and you're making those small decisions and small acts of kindness and service, you may be tempted to think, well, it's just not making that much difference. You don't know that. Sometimes, somehow, at the right time and the right way, that smallest deed of kindness and service can be the very deed that opens the door so that you can then explain why you have hope as a Christian. And of course, we do that with meekness and fear. The little things really do make a difference. And I hope these few minutes of time with you have made a difference tonight. If the Lord blesses us with another day, I hope things go well with you and for you tomorrow. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come to you in this medium and just share some thoughts with you. Thanks for listening. Have a good evening.